Welcome to the Bougie Black Brother Network. Good morning and welcome to Urban Lifestyle Cafe. I'm Michael, your Bougie Black Brother, and I'm here with my co-host Alicia.
Hello.
And we went backwards a little bit because there wasn't too many contemporary movies that we was going out to see, and we wanted to see a movie that was recommended to me by the name of A Ghost Story. I saw previews and I heard the critics talk about this movie, but it didn't look or seem like something that interesting. Did you see anything about this movie, baby?
No, I have not.
Yeah, so this was an odd movie. You know, I thought it was going to be maybe a comedy or maybe a horror satire, but I was told it's something totally different. So I took my time to check it out, and I did tell Alicia that, hey, you need to see this movie. So we wasn't able to see it together because this was one of them that I just wanted to test out, because my assumption was it wasn't going to be that good. So Alicia, when I recommended to you, what was your thoughts prior to that? Did you read the summary before you looked at it, or
Nope.
you just say, well, let me go see this?
Nope. I just went and looked for it and looked at it.
So when you looked at it, because I kind of recommended it to you, so I really like to get your full thoughts on it. Tell me your thoughts on the movie.
It was, like you said, a little bit slow, and I was waiting to see what the real story was, what it was going to be all about.
Mm-hmm.
But as I was watching it, it became so. It was a really good story, really really good story. I was impressed with how it was. It was it was just like simple movie. It wasn't too. It didn't have no special effects or anything like that.
Right.
But it was just really a really nice love story.
So you saw it as a love story.
Yes, I did.
Okay. So why did you see it as a love story?
Because at the very beginning they showed the relationship between him and his wife.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and then when he got into the accident, and then they found out that he died,
Mm-hmm.
is that he went back home.
Yep.
He went back home, and he was very selfish.
Yeah.
He was very selfish, very protective.
Yep.
And she didn't see him.
Mm-hmm.
She did not see him. She didn't know he was there. He did the little things, little signs,
Right.
but I don't think she got it.
Right. So signs like, what did you pick up on the little signs that he did?
What was it? The lights, maybe.
Yep.
The twinkling, the lights. Maybe trying to move things. I think he was trying to move something. But that's about, I could remember from what he actually did, the little thing. But he did it. But he did more.
Yeah.
When
kind of later on.
Yeah, later on in the movie. Yes.
So as it went later on, did you understand where it was going, or just it made you patient to kind of say, man, let me see where this is going?
Well, at first I expect for him to have left. Well, when she moved out,
Mm-hmm.
I was expecting him to move out with her, follow her.
Right.
His spirit. But it's like he didn't want to leave or couldn't leave.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it was, when you saw her leave, you was like, okay, where is he going to go with her? And then he was like, it's almost like he was stuck in that house.
Right.
Just being patient, because I was expecting maybe her to come back.
Yeah.
Okay. Or him to just leave in spirit.
Mm-hmm. Almost like it was going to be over with.
Right.
Okay. But so when it moved on and he was stuck, and like you said, you was being patient with it, how did it become either interesting or you was kind of like, well, what the hell is going on?
Well, I didn't see. I didn't think of taking it at what the hell was going on. I mean, you know how we do believe in. I believe in spirits anyway. So, to me, it was where would the spirit go?
Right, right,
My curiosity is like, okay, so they tore down. You know, they tore down both of the houses, and then the other ghost on the other side is like, they're not coming back. And then she left.
right.
And you knew she was a she because they put, the sheet was
The
like
type of sheet.
Yeah, right,
Right,
exactly.
right.
And he just stood there, and they were building it. He just stood there, and they were building these big buildings, and then the big city came along, and he was still there.
Right, right.
And then, which kind of confused me, was when he went back to the way back in the time where the wagons were. And I got a little confused with that.
Okay.
Why would they go that far back? You see what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
he wasn't born in that time.
No, no, not at all.
And then he went back to the house again in spirit. And he was picking at the paper and peeled the paper, right?
Right.
And then after he got that loose, then that was it.
disappeared.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I wanted to hear your thoughts because it was with me, I always look at the small details. But you picked up a lot of the things that I thought was important. So I'm glad you truly saw the movie. Some movies you look at and you're like, no big deal, blah, blah, blah. And I say, there's more to it. There's more to it. Nope, that's all I got. But this one, it seemed like you picked up a lot in it. So I really wanted to hear your thoughts on it. So that I appreciate that the storyteller made you look at it. You know what I mean?
Well, I'm into spirits. I'm into that. I've always feel that if a movie come out, I like to make sure. I mean, I want to see where the director is going with it. A lot of directors is like really don't have no sense of what they're doing with this and about the spirit world or something like that. But he really did a really good job of. It's almost like he may have died and come back to life for some reason, and he kind of can relate to the actual story. That's why he wrote it that way.
Right, right. So, if you don't know, the premise of the movie, so we keep saying the director. His name is David Lowery. Really don't know him, really didn't follow him. But last year he was nominated for a movie called The Lobster, which was, I'm like, what the hell is that? But it's basically a story about people who can't stay single. So if they are divorced or lose a spouse, they got to go to this hotel and they got 42 days or 48 hours to pick up a spouse, or they change to an animal of their choosing. And so the star of the movie chose a lobster. So he would have had to go to this hotel and go from that. And I was like, that sounds weird. But I heard it last year, but I was like, I don't want to hear that. But that was critically acclaimed too. So this one he wrote was really, really sounded interesting. So as it sounded interesting, I was like, so maybe I'll check it out and then see what else is, what else about this movie would make this so interesting. And it's, a small kind of independent type movie. And it didn't get into anything more than it's a ghost story. So when I got it, it's a ghost story. And I was like, okay, I've seen ghost stories before. So what the hell? You know what I mean? It's not going to tell me anything I don't already know. But here's the quick premise. It said, in this singular exploration of legacy, love, and loss, and the enormity of existence, a recently deceased white sheep ghost returns to his suburban home to try to reconnect with his bereft wife. So, like Alicia was saying, the beginning of the movie showed them together and how much they loved each other. There was a little frustration here and there because he was a struggling artist, and she was trying to clean the house that they moved in, and he was just all into his music. But you can tell that they loved each other. And that's how they showed and opened the movie for maybe around 5 to 10 minutes. During the night, they heard the piano go boom, and they got up and they looked around and there was no one there. And I was like, that was weird. I was thinking, because, you know, part of the story said he died. I thought someone was going to break in and kill him. But that wasn't the case. Then he went to bed. And then the next day, they woke up. No, they didn't wake up. It showed a foggy outside. And he was in an accident in a car in front of his house. And he was like, yo, what the fuck happened? How did that happen? They never explained it, but they move on. And then when they moved on, he was in a hospital. And she showed up, and they wanted to see if she identified who he was. So they lifted a big white sheet from him for her to see him. And she kind of stayed there for a while. And then she covered him back up and left. And then they lingered. So the director lingered on scenes long. It reminded me of Steve McQueen. So Steve McQueen, he did 12 Years a Slave, right? And it was this other one he did. But he did scenes that it lingered on. It made you kind of linger long enough for you to feel the scene. And so he kind of did that. So it lingered on him laying under the sheet while she left. Then all of a sudden he gets up, but he's still under the sheet. So then he moves from the sheet and he walks off in the hospital, and you see people just going past him. You don't never see his face, but you see the eye holes. So all you see is a sheet with eye holes, and people are just going about their business, just walking through the hospital. And then when he gets to the end of the hall, and this is what's the thing that I'd asked Alicia, I said, did you see when a wall opened up into a bright light? And she said, yeah. And I was like, why do you think he didn't go inside of there? So that was his chance to end his existence and move to the next level, but he didn't want to go. So he left the hospital and walked all the way home. And when he walked back to the house that's where he stayed throughout the movie. But she was trying to, get her life together. So they slowly showed how she was trying to cope. Remember when she was eating the pie?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she was like, she cut a little piece. And then she started eating a little piece, and then she just started just like digging in, and then she threw up.
Yeah, she just couldn't, because she just, and it wasn't really no dialogue. So it was like lingering on the scene. So you had to really feel what was going on throughout the movie. And so they had like scenes for a while that it, like, if you read about it, it seems like it was just seconds and minutes that went by, but it was weeks and months that was going by. But the movie made it seem like 10 seconds later, something else. But it was just so quickly done. And he stood by the door one day and just saw her come in and out, in and out, in and out. And you're like, what the hell is that? And you thought it was just repeating, but it was him standing there just watching her day by day by day. And then she finally moved out. But before she moved out, she wrote on a note. She wrote something on the note, and she slid it into the side crack of a door.
It's like the panel.
Yeah, slide and just slid it inside of there. So the longer he stayed, in the house, it seemed like he was able to do more, because before he couldn't touch anything,
right.
He couldn't do anything. But when she moved out, he just stayed there. And then he kept
going over to that panel, that little
trying to get it out.
Yeah, trying to pull out the paper.
What it is.
Pull out paper out.
But he couldn't. It was just his existence or spiritual power couldn't do it. So as he stayed there waiting, that's when he looked outside the window and saw a ghost in the other window. And she had on, I guess a feminine sheet, and she spoke to him, almost telepathically. It wasn't any words exchanged. So, you'll see the, what you call the words, the subtitles of them speaking to each other. And it was like, I'm waiting for someone. And they just stood there and looked at each other. But then a mother with her 2 children, Hispanic mother, came in, and they moved into there, and he was angry, like, you shouldn't be in my home. And so he was kind of like terrorizing the kids, but the little girl was afraid, but the little boy seemed like he saw her.
Yeah, he saw him more than once. It became.
Yeah, he saw them out of everybody. He did.
But he kept telling his sister, "Yo, he's in there."
He said he's in the closet.
Yeah.
Then they was speaking in Spanish. Then it went on. It's like the next day, all of a sudden, it was Christmas, and then after Christmas, he was just so upset that when the mother was feeding them, he just started slamming plates up against the wall, and they was afraid, and they was like, we got to get the hell up out of here. So they found a way and moved out.
Yeah, because was certain people can see spirits.
Yeah, so she I don't know if she saw him or felt him. She knew there was a spirit in him.
Yeah, she knew it there.
And you can see, and again, the movie, when you seeing this movie, you will tell by the delay in the director wanting you to feel what was going on. You can feel that she knew something, because even when she was cleaning up the mess, she didn't like, let me run out of here. She was like, you can, without her talking about it, you can tell, I know there's a spirit.
See, and I liked how he made her clean up the mess.
Yeah,
it was one piece at a time into the trash, and I thought that was like, wow.
But he wanted you to feel it was, and
you
so he
just
did
saw
a
him,
really good job with that.
Yeah, and he was standing there just watching her.
Yeah, but she knew he was there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the woman knew the spirit was there.
Exactly.
So she was like, I don't want to, make him angry. I don't want to make the spirit angry. I don't want to do. So she was like really methodically just putting it away, just putting it in a box. And then they turn around and you see them move out. And all of this looks like it was maybe a day or so, but this was like weeks and stuff that went by. And then in between that, there was some people who moved in, and they was having parties.
Yeah, he did the guy who talking
some kind of philosophy.
Yeah, exactly.
And, he got pissed at that, and he was flickering the lights and knocking stuff over again. And they were like, "Whoa, what the fuck?" But eventually, they moved out. So one of the things that he did, remember you said he did little things with her. So he flicked the lights. She saw that. He knocked down the books, and it fell open to a certain passage that she read. She never responded to anything. So you had to watch her actions to see how she felt, as opposed to hearing how she felt. So that was some things that I think a lot of people was uncomfortable with too, because flipping to that, there was a lot of people who didn't like the movie, and the critics loved the movie.
Yeah.
So it was like a twist between them. But anyway, he stayed it was like Alicia said, it seemed like he was trapped. He was trapped inside of the house. I don't know why he didn't or couldn't leave. But when things start building up around him, like Alicia said, they start building high rises, and he was still in the building. Then he was in the house, and then the house was gone. And then after the house was gone, he was in the building. And then the building was being built, and then he was in the office. Then after that, he was in the office, he was in the office with people, and he was like, I can't take this. And he went to the top of the building and jumped. So I was like, but he's a ghost. How could he die?
Yeah, because he couldn't. I mean, he was in the building, and I was waiting for him to do something crazy in the building, but he didn't.
He didn't. He just jumped because he was like, I can't take this anymore.
Right.
But he jumped, and he woke up in an existence where the house was years ago, before the house was built. It was almost like a time continuum that said, you will repeat this cycle of this house.
Right. You go back to the same place, but we'll start from the beginning.
But start from the beginning. Okay. So he saw where the house was being built from.
Where people died.
Yeah, and they died. And then all of a sudden he was back in the house again. And the one thing that you remembered from the beginning was he saw them, he saw himself before he died. And he looked at them, and when they had arguments and they was discussing.
Right, he went back to, yeah.
And then when he realized it's nothing I can do, he sat at the piano and put his arm on the piano, and then you hear the piano go ding, and that was the same thing that happened from the beginning of the movie.
Right.
And then I think he realized, I can't do anything about this, and it was like so weird. And then it was like he was there and he kept repeating himself. So then you realize he's repeating himself, because then when he died and his wife left, he saw the other ghost, which was him. He saw himself again, because remember, he was a ghost watching his ghost.
Right, he was, yeah.
But he finally, that existence went to the little portion in the door seal, and he finally got the paper out. And as soon as he got the paper out and read it, he disappeared.
Did you? I couldn't read what was on the paper. Did you get to read?
No.
Okay.
And then if you read the reviews, they never say it either.
Okay.
So it had something to do with him accepting that he needed to go.
Right.
So you don't know, though.
Well, maybe she wrote something on there for him to, and that's why.
Yeah, but my point was,
we don't really know what was.
You don't have to know.
Yeah.
You knew it was something that made him accept that he needed to leave.
Yeah.
Or accept that she either doesn't love him anymore, or she's over him, or she'll never be over him and he needed to just leave. But it was something that he read, and then he disappeared, which I just was like, wow. And it was so simple, though. It wasn't like you said, Alicia, there was no special effects. It was a big, long sheet. And I didn't realize, so the main star was Casey Affleck. I didn't realize that was him under the sheet, too. That wasn't just anybody.
Oh, he was under those sheets.
So the director wanted him to do the actions and be the actor. So, but they had to modify the sheet. They had to do some CGI or puppeteering to keep the eyes where they needed to be, because as he moved around, a sheet will shift and the eye sockets will move or whatever like that. So they had to keep them. In fact, they had to do some modifications, and it couldn't be a regular sheet. They had to do a lot of things. But he said the sheet had to be able, so when he did do movements, it'll look natural. You couldn't do that with a regular sheet.
No,
so he really did some adjustments to make it look like a realistic.
No, because when you seen the eyes of it, it was black.
Yeah.
You couldn't see in the sheet.
No, but which was cool. But what I'm saying is, if you put a sheet on your face and you put eye sockets in it, the more you move around, the eye sockets move.
Right.
Because the sheet moves.
No, but he did sheet.
Yes.
The sheet was. That sheet was incredible.
But you know what was funny too? The sheet got dirty.
It did.
I was like, wait a minute,
did.
how the fuck did it get dirty?
But that sheet was like, it was no regular sheet.
Right.
That's what I can say that.
Exactly.
That sheet was, a regular sheet would not have, most likely.
It wouldn't have flowed the way it did.
Exactly.
So it flowed over his arms. It flowed behind him.
Was. I could kind of tell that it was really heavy.
Yeah, it did. It did look heavy, because you see how it laid on the floor and everything.
Yes, and it was on the floor. You couldn't see his feet. You couldn't see. It was like a trail.
Yeah,
it had a trail to it, and it wasn't. They did that sheet was an amazing sheet.
So if you look at that detail, because I didn't think about it until I started reading more. When you look at the detail, you're kind of like, oh, okay, I see what they did. But overall, it was a story of love, like Alicia said. He didn't want to leave her. He just didn't want to leave her. Mm-mm. But he had to accept that she left him. But he was like, no, I have to wait on her. I am not going to leave here.
Yeah, and I like the fact that he was so selfish.
Yeah, he's like, she's mine. Mm-hmm. And y'all need to get out of here because she's coming back to me. Mm-hmm. So you knew the ghost was like.
And when she started dating.
Yeah, and then she started dating. You flicker the lights and do stuff around. But she was like, nope, I'm not even gonna do that. So
I think she knew.
So,
but
I think she did, but it wasn't obvious.
No, it wasn't obvious.
The thing is, if you probably watch it again, you'll see that it wasn't obvious that she knew he was there. But you kind of knew she assumed he was there.
Right.
You know what I mean? So if I look at it again, I was like, hey, well, here's some signs right here that shows me she most likely know that's him. You know, that he's here. His spirit is here.
Right.
Not that he's in a sheet, but his spirit is here.
Right.
So I really thought this was a pretty amazing movie. And I really enjoyed it. It was released this year. And it was released in small theaters. So it was like it started with like 4 theaters, and then it expanded it from there.
But they made their money.
Yeah,
They made their money.
they did.
Yeah. I think it was like hold on a second. I think it was like 100,000. It was, the budget was $100,000.
Oh yeah, so he made his money back.
And then they box office was 1.9 million.
So definitely, but it was a well-made, well-written movie.
And I don't think he wanted to be a blockbuster smash. It was him making a small movie that was it was.
Well, people went to see it enough that
they did.
He recovered his money back.
Yeah,
you know
I think.
what I mean?
And also I see it. It was very artistic, very
Yeah,
artistic.
yeah, and really, you know, using a cliche word, very cerebral. You really had to think about what was going on, and the spiritual aspect of, you know, will a spirit leave you? You know, if you in love with people or you attach to others spiritually, they're still attached to you until you can release them or they release themselves. If they release themselves, the attachment isn't real. But if you release them, they either they'll accept that and leave. But if not, they're spiritually attached through their love and their time together. And it was just like so deep. It's very slow though. It's slow to the point that if you're thinking there's gonna be some, he's gonna kill some people, or I'm gonna be scared when things happen, it's not that kind of movie. So the name of the movie is A Ghost Story.
Right.
It's the story of the ghost.
Right.
The guy who died became a ghost, and he's showing you his story. So if you really don't get it in any other way, it's the story of this ghost, not anything outside of that.
Right.
You know, Texas Chainsaw Massacre is about people being massacred, but this is a ghost story, and it's a very well written. Again, I like the way it was artistically done. Alicia used that word artistic, which I totally agree with her too.
Yeah, it was so
very artistically done, and
I mean, it was just I totally enjoyed it. It had such the details to it. It wasn't hard to follow. I can understand why some people could say it was slow,
but they're not patient.
Yeah,
and I think what was the other review that we went to? The Foreigner. You thought it was supposed to be something and it wasn't, so you was disappointed. I think a lot of people came to this thinking it's going to be something else.
I think
it isn't.
Yeah, they probably think it was some horror story.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they came with that in mind and didn't get it and was disappointed. But I came to it as not being a horror story, because that was one of the main reasons why I wanted to see it, because it wasn't a horror story. So I was okay. I was like, good.
Yeah, because when you told me, so I asked you what you was watching. So I'm watching the ghost story. It's like, okay. And then you said you may like it because it's a love story. I was like, shoot, yeah, I love love stories.
But I like it in the way they did it. You know what I mean? Because it was spiritual, and it wasn't all about, it wasn't sappy love story. It wasn't, heavy emotional, this what happened and he left me, and no, but she left him, but he left her. You know what I mean? He left her in death. She left him in spirit, because she left where he was.
Yeah.
And didn't accept the fact that, I'm leaving him.
Yeah, it was just so interesting. Where I think it was her mom just opened up the door, left the pie on the table, and left. And you would expect like a lot of people would have been there to support her.
But there wasn't
It
much of
wasn't. No,
anybody.
it wasn't. And
Right,
that
right.
was like that was another thing that I thought
Yeah,
was
like
like,
what
where,
happened to the
yeah,
people who would come around and say, "Hey, this guy died.
yes,
Do you know
yes,
him?
yeah,
Do you know
yeah.
the couple?" You didn't see none of that.
No, you didn't. It was like they were very private,
But
very,
maybe not. Maybe it was, and the director said, "You don't need to know about them because it's about him and her.
right,
It's
right.
about his love for her. It's about his attachment to her. It's about how you seen her without him."
Yeah, because
You know what I mean?
and I think also when you got to the end and when he started to see how he was, how he treated her, how he demanded things, how he said, "I want to live here. Do you want not want to live here? I like
She
this
said, "No,
place."
I like this place. I want to be here."
Yeah.
She's kind of like, "Really?"
Yeah, and then she reaching out to him and said, well, "What's the problem? Why are you upset? Can we talk about it?" And he didn't want to talk about it. I mean, he started to see how he really was, and I think that was in the spirit, in the way the spirit, the universe or the spirit have made him realize.
He's seen himself.
Right, right.
And the thing is, you don't know how many times he went through this until he realized he had to leave. Because you don't know how many times he tried to get that paper out and see this whole life go all over again. All over. You don't know. But you know that he saw himself all over again.
Yeah.
So then he finally accepted it and left. But it was just a great movie. So what do you rate it at?
A 9.
Wow, that's pretty high.
Yes, it was really good.
That's pretty high. So I really liked it. I really, you know me, I like stories. I like directing, and I like the cinematography, and the acting. But the acting was good. It wasn't great. It was just good enough, and it wasn't much acting to be done because how the way the movie was. The story was excellent because it's something you didn't expect. Then the directing of how it was done was really really good too. So without the cinematography and the better acting, I give it like, I wanted to say an 8.5, but I'm gonna drop it to an 8.25 because I needed a little more cinematography. But to your point, they didn't spend a lot of money on it.
Yeah, but
So I
again,
really felt that for a low budget movie, eh, this was excellent.
so the reason why I gave it that is because one, you didn't tell me, all you did tell me was a love story. And so me looking at it from just that, it blew me away on just how beautifully it was done.
Yep.
It
Yep.
really was. And I was very impressed with it. I definitely, that's probably one of my, movies that I definitely want to watch over and over again because it was so beautifully
So
done.
I agree. I would see this
It-
again.
Oh, so
And the
beautiful.
reason why I want to see it again is now that I went to the end of the movie, I want to see it what I
Again.
missed.
Right,
Because I'm
right.
like, oh, this is why.
And that's why that's the kind of movie you watch over and over and over. and over
Exactly.
again. Because
So-
you always see something that you missed the first time around.
But that's good writing.
Yes,
To me,
it
that's
is.
good writing because when you take it through, like the dude Dennis Villeneuve, that did Sicario and what we just see, the Blade Runner. I can see his movies over and over again.
No.
Because he writes stuff that makes you go, damn. By the time it ends, you say, shit, I missed. Oh,
Yeah.
that's what he was talking about.
Now that Blade Runner, I'll be watching it again and again and again.
So
and again. I
I'll
can't-
watch any of his movies. Every single movie that he made. That's why when Arrival comes on, I watch it again. So definitely look at that again. So he gives me that. So that's why we got to see The Lobster. Now that I've seen how he wrote this and he was nominated for The Lobster, I really want to see how that movie was written and directed because it was critically acclaimed as well. So if he's that creative, I like to see what he's going to do next. I really like to see what he's going to do next. But yep. So Alicia got it at a 9. I got it at an 8.25, borderline 8.5. But a really, really good movie. So if y'all get the opportunity and you're patient enough to appreciate movies, this is one to see. BougieBlackBrother.com, Bougie Black Bro on Instagram and Twitter. Find Black Woman, Instagram and Twitter, and CoffeeWomenInTech.com. So, you got anything, Booby?
No, that's it.
Urban Lifestyle Cafe with your movie and show reviews. We got a couple of other ones that we really looking at. Look out for The Deuce. We're in the middle of The Deuce. We'll be actually looking at that series and going from there. We went from the Netflix series Mindhunter to The Deuce on HBO. Got a couple of other ones that's coming up too, but look forward to a couple of movies, action movies coming up. So we'll go see that. But those are some shows that I probably think you'll enjoy. But thank you so much for stopping by Urban Lifestyle Cafe, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.